we first started out, I mentioned that masses are one of the most powerful tools in Revit because not only are they the basis for working with families, which we'll get into later, but you can use them to create elements such as walls, floors, and ceilings to actually create organic shaped buildings. So now that we're done creating and modifying a mass that we're happy with, now it's time to take that mass and convert it into something we can really use in a project. So in this video, we're going to take that mass we've been working on and create floors, roofs, walls, and even the start of a clear story system that we'll go in and further refine in the next video. So now we're going to take this mass that we've created and convert it into something we can actually use in Revit for our actual building. So the first thing I need to do is to go to an elevation view and set up where I want my floor levels to be. So from here I'm going to create a couple of additional levels. I've already got a roof level here at 12.8, which I'm going to use for my second floor. I'll go ahead and copy that up another 11 feet and copy 11 feet and copy 15 foot 4. Alright, so now I'll come in here and I'll rename these, and this is going to be top of masonry, level 4, level 3, and level 2. For any existing level already created within the template, there are views associated with that level that share its name. For ease of use, Revit likes to keep those to be the same name. You don't have to, but it tends to make things a little bit easier. So when I go to change the name of the level, Revit automatically asks me, do I want to rename all of the corresponding views, such as the roof floor plan, or if I had a reflected ceiling plan of it, the reflected ceiling plan. And I'm going to go ahead and say yes. It just makes things a little bit easier. So now that I've got my level set up, I'm also going to come in here, and these footing ones I'm not going to worry about. So I'm going to delete those. It says, hey, you're deleting these, are you sure? I say yes, okay. So now that I've got some levels set up in here, I'll go back to my 3D view. I select my mass and I'll say mass floors. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a floor at each of the levels. Now I don't want one at top of masonry because we're going to end up putting a roof there, so I don't need one there. So I'll say OK. And now you'll see in addition to our overall mass, we have additional mass elements at each floor. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a region select. So I click and hold, and I move my mouse from the bottom right to top left. And anything that touches that region, that dashed line that I create, anything that even touches it is going to get selected. Now I can use my filter tool that's down here in the bottom right or up here in the top. And I'm going to say I don't want to have selected the mass. I only want my mass floors. OK. Now that I've got my mass floor selected, I'm going to hit my little sunglasses down here for temporary hide isolate, and I'm going to say hide element. I'm only temporarily hiding these, and you'll see now there's this blue border around, just in order to make things a little bit easier for what we're going to keep doing, but I'm going to bring them back eventually. Alright, so now that I've gotten rid of those floors, next thing I want to do is to create some faces. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to go to my Massing and Site tab, and under Model by Face, I'm going to say Roof. Now, once I select that, I've got some options over here for different types of roof. And in this case, the insulation on metal deck with EPDM sounds like a good roof to me. And all I have to do is just select the face that I want for the roof, in this case the top. And it'll highlight blue, and then I have to create roof. And you'll notice it went ahead and created that roof object, so I can pick that. Tells me what type of roof it is. And you'll probably see a little bit of kind of different grays here. That's because when I create an element from a mass, it doesn't get rid of the mass element. So you're actually seeing the top of the roof and the mass occupying the exact same space, which is why you get kind of that funky gray, and it kind of flashes back and forth as I zoom in and out. That's perfectly normal, so we'll keep that as is. If you want to, you could go ahead and hide the roof, but I'm going to leave it on there. Next, I'm going to create some walls by face. This time I've got a couple of different options for my walls, and I'm going to pick, let's see, brick on metal stud. And now I'll just pick various faces of my exterior. There we go. If you zoom in, you'll actually see the brick pattern show up on there. We'll get into that later. Okay, so I'm all done creating those, so I'm going to go back to my masking site, and this time I want to create a curtain system. And again, I've got some different options for my curtain system. Because I've got such a rounded area, I actually want a smaller grid than 5 by 10. So I'm going to edit my type. And my spacing, I'm going to say, let's see, maximum spacing 5 feet and maximum spacing 5 feet. Alright, so now that I've got that set, I will go ahead and click on, need to go ahead and click on the faces here. I've got to do 3 selections, one for each quarter of the cylinder, and then one for the top of the sphere. And the reason I've got to make 3 selections is because of how we created it with the cylinder and the sphere. But I need to make sure all 3 are selected before I create select system to make sure that it's all going to be one system together as opposed to 3 separate pieces of system. So go ahead and create system, and you'll see it created something here that is okay. I think we could use a little bit more detail in here, so I'm going to undo. I'm going to edit this type again, and this time I'm going to take maximum spacing down about half. Actually, let's just say 2 feet, make it nice and even. Say OK. Again, pick my 3 pieces. Sometimes it'll be a little tricky to pick that part of the sphere. Alright, create system. Oh, much better. So now I get these nice pieces here, and you'll notice that these actually don't even have mullions in them right now. They're just pieces of glass. But I really like that. I think that works very well. So we'll say OK, escape out of that. Now I'm going to pick a wall, and I'm going to right click and say hide in view category, and all of my walls are now hidden. I'm going to select my curtain wall system, hide in view category, and my roof. Now you'll notice I did a hide in view, not a temporary hide. There are 2 different ways of hiding things. What I did is a little bit more permanent, but certainly not undoable. And I did that because now that I've gotten all of the walls and roofs done, I wanted to kind of get those out of the way so I could unhide, I'll reset my temporary hide isolate, and get those floor elements back. Alright, so I'm going to take my overall mass, I'm going to hide in view by element. So now I've just got my floors here, and now I want to create model by faces floor. And again, I want to pick a good floor. Most of them are going to be lightweight concrete on deck, so we'll pick that for floors 2, 3, and 4. We'll say create floor. Alright, now I'll go back into my masking site, floor. This time I want a 4-inch concrete slab for my base level, and create floor. Alright. Now I can again region select from bottom right to top left, filter out my actual floors and keep just the mass floors. Now I'm going to hide in view elements. Alright, so now that I'm done converting my masses into usable elements like walls, floors, ceilings, I want to turn my walls and roof back on so I can start working with them. So what I need to do is right next to the sunglasses is a little light bulb. So I'm going to click that, and you'll notice my border goes red, and this is the reveal hidden elements. And so I need to come in here, and again I'm going to region select. It's just the easiest way for me, and use my filter tool. This time I'm going to check none. But I am going to go through and say, okay, I want my curtain panels, I want everything associated with the curtain wall system, I want my floors, I don't want the masses, don't need the project base point, I want the roof, don't need the survey point, but I do want the walls. So we've got a total of 177 items selected, vast majority of those being the curtain wall system, and I'll say OK. Now I'll right click and say unhide in view category. And now you'll notice everything that I just had selected when I deselected is now gray. What that means when I'm in the reveal hidden elements is that when I turn reveal hidden elements off, those elements are going to be visible. So I'll come down here and close reveal hidden elements, and there are my walls, my roof, my curtain wall system, and you can even see my floor sticking out in there. Now obviously right now my floors need a little bit of tweaking. They're extending all the way to the exterior of the walls, so I'll need to fix that. But I do have here a shape, a little bit organic, kind of something a bit different. Way easier to model it this way than to try and force a wall to do this very kind of funky double curve. So now if I want to go in and add windows, doors, things like that, I can just go to my architecture tab. Let's start with some windows. And let's do 36 by 48. That sounds pretty good. I'll add one there, one there. I'm just kind of throwing these in here. I'll worry about getting them all aligned later. Now you have to be careful with kind of curved objects like this. If you end up wanting to put anything like a window or a door or any sort of an opening into it, the object is going to want to be vertical regardless of whether or not the surface is. So for example, this window is really inset down at the bottom, but then sticks out at the top and different on one side versus the other. So you can see this could really create some problems later on. I'm okay with it for right now, primarily because this is just a conceptual massing. Later on in the project I'll end up having to do something really kind of creative and custom in order to get a true window to fit into that wall. I'm better off in that case probably creating some sort of a curtain wall system, so I've got a bit more flexibility with it, but we'll get into custom curtain walls in class. Alright, so I've created some windows in here. Let's go ahead and throw a door in on this side. We'll make it a... oh, we don't have the door we want, so I'll go ahead and load family. And it'll automatically take me to the Revit library where I'll go to doors, and I want double glass. Yeah, full light. There we go. Load that into the project, and now 72 by 84 sounds good. Just go ahead and pop that right there. We'll go ahead and put another one on that wall just to be safe. Now I need to do something with the front entrance, and for that we're going to save that for the next video. Now that we've completed all of our walls, roofs, and floors, and put in some basic windows, we're ready to move on and further refine this project into something that might actually be presentable to a client. In the next video, we're going to concentrate on the front entrance and getting that cleaned up and looking more like we want it to look in the final product. Thank you very much, and I hope you've enjoyed this video.